We did. We started at 707 Front Street in a 600 square foot space, which if you can, I can't even imagine trying to put a commercial kitchen in a space like that now. And it was Joey and I for 1 week, and then we hired our first employee, Elaine Gadsden, and she came and helped us out. We were probably in that space, I think 3 or 4 years, and then we moved across the street into about probably 1,200 square feet. And then we were there probably another 4 years when we came down here, and we came down here because we had a parking lot. Well, we're pretty funky, you know. So actually a realtor approached us and said, you know, I think this would be a great fit for y'all. And it is a cool space, you know, it's an old horse stable, and it took major renovations that Joey and I pretty much did. I held up the beams and he put the trusses in. I mean, it was kind of amazing that we did that. We were younger and stronger. Yeah, it got to be painful trying to sell what we were trying to sell out of a very small space. And that's what led us to Litchfield too, because even this space it was so painful to do the job. And as soon as we made the transition to this store and the store at Litchfield, suddenly Christmas and Thanksgiving became not quite the nightmare that they had been. Still not a lot of fun, but not as nightmarish. I mean, we would be up literally, I remember one time where Joey was up so many days that he was sitting at the computer and he just nodded off right there because he probably had slept for 72 hours and his mind just gave out. It was because we had young children at the time, and we know that the restaurant business is late hours, and so we thought it would be a better, family life. We'd be able to be home. But all you're just doing is trading super early mornings for super late nights. I had worked in a bakery in Los Angeles where, Joey and I met at Fred Siegel had a little cafe in this shopping center, and I worked with some people there, and that's where the carrot cake and the apple walnut cake recipes came from them, and how to make an apple pie really came from Shane and Dawn Purcell. Joey was in chef school, so I was working. I would get up at 2 in the morning and go to work, and then I would also have a second job of working, as a set decorator for commercials for an art director in LA. So I would, have to be on that set at 8, so I'd be at 2 o'clock in the morning then I'd go at my other job to 6, work there till 6, eat, go to bed at 7, and get up and do it all again until Joey got out of school, but luckily he wasn't in school for very long. I guess so, but in a way, I've learned so much from Georgetown. Georgetownians are kind and forgiving, and when you make a mistake, they tell you because they know you want to improve your business, not because they're angry with you. And so every complaint that we get, or comment that we get, was hard to hear, but we're grateful that people. Well, in fact, we had a funny story when we first opened. We didn't know about bakeries really, and so we were figuring out how to grab things and package them. And a customer wrote us and said, "You should get those little tissues that you grab," and it was signed "A Friend." And we still have that letter. We really, and that's the way Georgetown is. They just want to help you. And eat the delicious, and they appreciated us, yeah, and we appreciated that. Yeah. Yeah, I'm getting teary-eyed talking about Georgetown. Sorry about that.
No, I think it's lovely.
Yep, I'm an actor, and was an actor in Los Angeles, but you know, actors don't make a lot of money most of the time. So I had friends in the art department, and so they would hire me to drive trucks. So I started out actually working in the art department for commercials, driving the truck through LA traffic. Yes, I can do it. And it was a great time because you would go to these huge, massive warehouses that had props, everything from Cupid dolls to, you know, big beds from the 18th century, and you just could go, you know, you pick out things and take pictures of them, and you take these ideas back to your art director, and then they pick and choose what you want, and then you have to go back and get them and bring them to the set and place them on the set. And so it was a very good learning experience for an actor to realize that when the camera is rolling and you feel like the whole world is on your shoulders, that they're really not just looking at you. The costume person is concerned about what your costume looks like, not your acting, what the makeup looks like, not your acting. So it was a very good experience for an actor to have. And so when I came here, I just was so sad that there was no drama, even in the school system. There was a little bit, but it was like the wonderful teachers who would be willing to put on a play with the kids. And they could have been anything from a PE teacher to a English teacher to the song, you know, the choral person. So I had another friend named Fran Reed in the theater that I met working in the little theater here, which is the reason why I could move to Georgetown from LA, was the little theater in town. Otherwise, I would not be here. I couldn't live without a theater nearby, you know, live theater, performing theater. And she got me to be the first, it's a school system project called Project Beach. It's a summer enrichment program, and we created the first summer drama program for kids, and I did that for 4 summers and got that program started, and it's still running now. Probably the most interesting thing is I had a friend, an acting friend, Curtis Lambert, who said, you need to get back into trying to work professionally because it's really a different world now, Stacy. And I have an agent in Wilmington, and I know she'll meet you, and so I went and met his agent, and I've been auditioning for just about everything, but in the last 3 years I've done 3 films. I'm in a filming right now. I was there last week, and I go next week to finish my filming. So that's kind of fun, that in Georgetown you can be a professional actor in a film that's going to have a nationwide release. That's a pretty wild thing. Yeah, well, I always, you know, I'm a big city girl, so living in Georgetown has always been a challenge for me. So, but I do love Georgetown. And so I wanted a store in Mount Pleasant just for that big city connection. So somebody there also approached us with a building that they said was perfect for us, and you should go in here. And so everything just kind of fell into place. And Joey's really particular about his space that he gets in. It has to be funky like us. So, so that's where we are now. It's going all right. It's a tougher market. It's at the big city. You know, it's harder to get the word out because there is so much more there. Where, you know, you open a store in Georgetown and everybody's waiting for months for it to open because you'd only have so many stores. So when a new one comes in, it's like pretty exciting. That's not true in Charleston. It was the first day. We were profitable from day one. We knew exactly what we had to do that day to make ends meet. And we did more than that, and it's just gone up from there. Yeah. I mean, the recession has been difficult. It's been a struggle, and we're ready for it to come to an end. No, you have to give credit to Joey for that, because he's really good with computers, and he's got a genius mathematical mind, and he can make the spreadsheets and figure out costing, and bought a costing program that you can actually say, here's our eggs, here's how much they cost, here's the flour, here's how much it costs, and you can enter that into enter your recipe into a costing system, and it'll tell you exactly how much it costs to make a cake. So you know, including the box, the tissue, the frosting, everything, what it costs for you to get that product out the door in food costs. And then, there's the additional cost of electricity and labor and all that sort of thing. But just, working on food costs alone. Oh, well, the pecan pie and the red velvet cake, but are Southern favorites, so obviously those are gonna do well. One of my favorite cakes is the lemon cake, and it's just because Joey created that cake completely, and I'm pretty sure it's the only place in the whole world, except it was in a magazine one time, if there are people somewhere recreating it from that. But we have the almond Florentine cookies, and we would have leftover at the end of the day, and we don't sell leftover cookies, we bake fresh every morning, and so we had to figure out how we can keep from losing profit on these leftover cookies that are still fine to eat, but we didn't want to sell them. So he created the lemon cake with the ground up almond Florentine cookies and then we had to start making almond cookies just for the cake. So the cake did well. But he created that cake completely out of his mind. And he wrote all the recipes. He would rewrite them and tweak them, and he's still working on recipes, I remember the red velvet cake. I just didn't like it at first. I said, it could be better. I'm the taste critic. He's the recipe genius. And I said, this cake is not right. It's just not right. And I said, this is in the second kudzu. I said, I'm going to rewrite this recipe today. And of course, that's not a good idea. So I called Joey up. I'm going to rewrite this cake recipe today. Got any ideas? And he said, okay, if you're going to do it, do this. Blah, blah, blah. And he named me off exactly what I should make. And that's the recipe we have now. And it was sort of the same with the cheese biscuits. He was sick in the hospital. He had pneumonia. It was Christmas. And we had to make these cheese biscuits for a customer because we said we would. I was like, how do you make these cheese biscuits, Joey? He's like, okay. With his pneumonia, rattled off another recipe, and that's the cheese biscuit recipe. He just, I don't know, it's divine inspiration or what, but it just comes out of his head. Yeah, the kitchen store. Yeah.
How'd that come about?
That came about because when we bought this building, that little building there with the patio was they were kind of together. And well, the walkway was part of this building, but the people that owned this building and the walkway also owned the building that was attached. And they really wanted us to buy this space. They needed to sell it, and we were the only people interested in it because, like I said, it needed a lot of work. So Joey said, if you throw in that other little building right there, I'll take it all. And so they said, okay. So I was like, okay, now we got a building. And it was his idea, well, we'll put in a kitchen gadget store because Georgetown doesn't have a kitchen gadget store. And it's turned into a beautiful building. Levon Getman takes care of that, and there's a lot of local products like the Tupelo bowls that are almost a dying art anymore. And Gay Ori from Horry County makes amazing pottery, so a lot of local artists that are also sort of kitchenware we keep in there too. I don't even really know how. I guess that was just a thought of Joey's too. I guess it went from just the bakery, then we went into the second store and we started selling the sandwiches. And then we had a very small freezer over there, and people would ask us, mostly our customers, it's customer driven. They would say, do you have casseroles? Do you have something that we can, take home? And there was no real kind of to-go gourmet food thing in Georgetown. So we just started, our focus was like, we're not going to make the meal for you. We're going to provide you with these good quality ingredients, and we're going to save you some steps along the way, but you're still going to have to go home and you're going to have to do a little cooking and personalize it. And so that's kind of who we are. We're not cooking your whole meal for you like some of the places. We are helping you to become a fine cook at home. I'm sure we've had colossal failures. I try to forget about these things, so I can't think. We did make pizzas for a little while, which were just too time-consuming. And that's a lot of the problem. Like, people will say, well, why don't you do this or do that? And it's like, because you don't want to pay $30 for a pizza. And that's how much it costs me to do that. You know, there are people that do pizza a whole lot less expensive and better than that. So there's some things that just, and we don't have any stovetop. You know, we are only ovens. So whatever we do, it has to go in an oven. So that you know, there's limitations there too. People are crazy about soup. They would be over and over use soup. So what we did was we found the restaurant supply a good quality soup that comes in, you know, frozen, that you just have to reconstitute, and we repackage it and put it in the freezer for you to take home. And you can have lobster bisque that you wouldn't make. I wouldn't make a lobster bisque. I don't know about you, but so that kind of thing. You know, we're not really doing your whole meal for you. We're just helping you out. Oddly enough, I like to stock the shelves. I just like to put the jars on the shelf and put the wine on the shelf, and I like stocking. You can just blank out the rest of the world and just focus on that jam and making it look nice. Don't have to worry about the electric bill and all that stuff at that moment. I think he likes to work on the recipes. I think he probably likes the creative side of it, even though, because he is really mechanical and great with computers, he spends most of his time fixing broken things. He's the fix-it man, general fix-it man. Well, first of all, government regulation is killing the mom and pop. And I would know all the rules about everything I was going to do before I even thought about opening a door. Because once you've spent, you know, $30,000 or $40,000 and then you find out about this federal government regulation, it's hard to switch. If you're going to go into a small town, you have to be respectful of what came before you. And some people I know will come in and they'll like, well, we're going to do it this way. But you know, there's reasons why you do the things you do, is because you have to serve your population. And you know, yeah, you can't come in and sell mascarpone and $100 bottles of wine if your population doesn't want to support that. So you have to really know your market and know your government regulation and be open and ask a lot of questions of the local people, because that's your audience and they're going to be your best source of information.